Yin meet Yang, and welcome to episode 103 of the Actors of Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next. Hugo dressed in all white, joined by my co-host.
It's your boy, Ray Boogie Kahuna. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down UFC Atlanta, Usman versus Buckley, and then we got some PFL World Tournament semifinals to cover. And on the boxing end, we got a couple of notable fights, including Hitchins and Kambosos. Before we get into any of that, my brother, please tell them what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have the Machine, Malcolm Wellmaker, going one-on-one with Kris Moutinho. Wellmaker, perfect, 9-0, fighting out of Augusta, Georgia, 31 years old. Moutinho, 14-6 overall, fighting out of Massachusetts, 32 years old. They just announced this fight, brand new to the card, in Atlanta, Georgia. Doubt this is opening up the card. Wellmaker, hot prospect, hometown advantage here. We know what this shit is. Let's keep it a buck. He's going one-on-one here with a guy who got packed up by Sean O'Malley. You know, whatever. That's fine. But then got packed up by Guido Canetti. That's not that fine. We know what this is. This is Wellmaker all day. I think Malcolm packs this guy up. It's going to be a body bag. Don't know what the odds are going to be. Probably extremely wide. Maybe you could bet on what color Kris Moutinho's hair is going to be. Maybe it's green again. Maybe he comes in with some hot pink. Malcolm, ITD. That's where I'm leaning for this one.
Yeah, this is a mismatch for a lot of reasons. Moutinho is just a walking punching bag, to be frank. Malcolm Wellmaker is going to do whatever he wants to him in there. You've seen that in the Sean O'Malley fight, which is his debut. His second fight lost to way lesser competition. He's on a 5-fight win streak here, but he's fought nobodies, literally, not good records. Wellmaker is being set up here to look very good. So with that said, man down, peace up, A-Town down, Moutinho down, Wellmaker in 2.
Next fight on the card at women's flyweight, we have Little Monster, Vanessa Demopoulos, going one-on-one with Jamey-Lyn Horth. Demopoulos, 11-7 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Greece, 36 years old. Jamey-Lyn Horth is 7-2 overall, fighting out of Canada, repping Canada, 35 years old. Not Jamey-Lyn's original opponent, it's supposed to be Teresa Bleda, I think that's how you say her name.
Yep.
She ended up falling out. Demopoulos stepping in, not only in short notice, but up a weight class in a fight where I don't think she really stands that much of a chance. Not too high on the Jamey-Lyn Horth side, or I mean, just on her in particular. She should have the physicality edge here. She's going to have the size. She's going to have the reach. She's going to have the weight. I think if she goes straight to her wrestling, which is the clear path of victory for her, she should just be able to grind out, possibly even get her first finish here. I mean, Demopoulos is going to have, some speed. She's probably the better striker in my opinion, but Horth would have to really fuck up pretty bad here to lose this one. Give me Horth here. I'd say by decision, but she should pack up Demopoulos here.
Yeah, just to piggyback off my brother here, I'm not very high on Jamey-Lyn Horth either. I'm also not high on Demopoulos. This is a fight that I'm probably going to stay away from just because it's messy. There's no lines that have officially dropped yet, so we'll wait till the lines open up to give you a more fair plan how we want to look at it. But if Demopoulos is a heavy dog, I don't think taking a swing at her is bad. I just think short notice against a girl who can wrestle and has wrestling capability, but she will often go to the cage pushing with the physicality edge. And Demopoulos is not really technical. She kind of uses her physical gifts a lot in her fights too. I think she's going to have a lot of trouble managing the distance with Jamey-Lyn. I think she's going to have a lot of trouble with Jamey-Lyn getting her hands on her. Give me Jamey-Lyn Horth, not with a high degree of confidence because she's pretty bad. But we'll see how the lines break down closer to fight time before we give you any educated plays and what looks juicy. So follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have the Fresh Prince, Phil Rowe, going one-on-one with the last ninja, Ange Loosa. Rowe, 10-5 overall, fighting out of Orlando, Florida, 34 years old. Loosa, 10-4 overall, fighting out of Switzerland, repping Switzerland, 31 years old.
A much more interesting fight.
A much more interesting fight, a much more difficult fight to kind of like pick a side here, because on one end, I think Ange Loosa definitely has what it takes here to kind of give Phil Rowe trouble. I mean, if he just walks forward, gets in Phil Rowe's face, takes him down, beats him up, grinds him out, frustrates him, throws in, combination, and, really doesn't let Rowe get into his flow. No bars, but bars. It's Loosa's fight to lose. But at the same time, if you ask me, I think Phil Rowe is probably the more talented guy, but is a guy who also gets in his own way, whether it's like just bad decision making or his like low volume. But he's the better striker in my opinion. I think if Phil Rowe utilizes his gifts, because I think he's the more athletic of the two guys. I also think that if Phil Rowe, just stays on the outside, uses that piston of a jab that he has, sets up that right hand, and just defends takedowns in general here, this is Phil Rowe's fight to lose. 50-50 fight. I don't know, because I haven't looked at the odds, who's the favorite. I probably would think Loosa is because of the wrestling. I might eat shit on this one. I might regret it. I'm going to get a little spicy. Give me Phil Rowe here for the upset.
Yeah, so this is another fight where they haven't dropped odds, and I'm looking for them. I've been looking for them all over the place, but I'm with you on this. I think Phil Rowe has the dimensions. Ange is a little chinny at times, too. He does get cracked. Phil's boxing's pretty good, but you're correct. The only thing that is smooth about Phil and his game is his nickname, the Fresh Prince. There is nothing fresh about what he does in the octagon because he doesn't normally use his gifts in ways that are adequate to him winning. Also, another prop that's interesting with him here is knockouts, because all of his fights, I believe, ended in knockout. The ones that he won. Everything else, I think he lost him by decision. It's just interesting that he needs to kind of hit that off switch or he's in trouble. That's a little alarming considering that Ange, even though a little chinny at times, is a dog and will be there and can be there for all 15 minutes of this fight, pressing forward, throwing volume, getting his wrestling going and making things dirty for Phil. So this fight is dog or pass. I'm with you here. When the lines drop, we'll definitely let you know how it looks, but I'm curious to see how it shakes out. I'll lean Philly Fresh for the win here.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have the Bear Jew Paul Craig going one-on-one with Trator Rodolfo Bellato. Craig, 17-9-1 overall, fighting out of Scotland, repping Scotland, 37 years old. Bellato, 12-2-1, fighting out of Brazil, repping Brazil, 29 years old. This is a fight we covered, I think, a couple episodes ago. I think it was on Burns versus somebody, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember correctly. Well, you could go and check out the previous VODs if you want, support the cause. But anyway, I know we both were on Paul Craig, if I remember correctly. I still think this fight doesn't go the distance. I still think the unders are probably hell alive. If this fight goes all 15 rounds, somebody fucked up dearly. This is a fight that I gave more thought to, and the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, I think Bellato, as much as I think he's a bit of a fucking like Walking Dead zombie in there, where he just walks forward and throws his offense. Credit to where credit's due. The man fucking hits hard. You have to kill the man to kill the man. I think this is his fight to lose. If you like the Paul Craig side, submission. If you like the Bellato side, knockout. I'm expecting violence. I'm expecting blood. Give me Paul Craig for the upset. But I'm going to be picking Bellato to win.
Yeah, Bellato's definitely the lean, but it's like, this is a fight where it's like, describe both of these fighters.
Horrible fighter. Horrible fighter.
That's bars.
And you know what? Listen, we're using Canelo because what we want to say actually is not appropriate for YouTube airways. We have to be a little...
Gotta censor ourselves just a little bit.
We gotta be a little sensitive, to the ears of our viewers, What I will say is this is a fight that Bellato should win. I think if he gets on top of him, he can land some serious ground and pound on him. But the thing is, he has never fought someone with a guard like this before. His stand-up is all over the place. Paul can get him in a scramble, get him down. If he lands in Paul's guard, even if he does land damage, Paul just needs 2 seconds to cinch up his arm. Some of the best MMA guard jiu-jitsu I've seen is from Paul Craig. I think it's a dog or pass spot, to be frank with you. But the play is definitely on the violence, to be frank, as my brother mentioned. So I'm going to lean Bellato for the win, but Paul Craig is a definite dog shot with violence as the most likely play for this fight.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have Ricky Simón going one-on-one with Charles Jourdain. Simón, 21-6 overall, fighting out of Vancouver, Washington, 32 years old. Jourdain, 16-8-1 overall, fighting out of Canada, repping Canada, 29 years old. This is a very fucking intriguing matchup in my opinion because, right when I was counting Ricky Simón out, his last matchup against Basharat, looked pretty good, knocked the fucking man out, lost money on the fucking guy.
Looked like Vinicius' fight was a fluke, right?
Yeah, he almost made it look like that Vinicius fight, the fight that I thought he was going to win, was a fluke.
Go back to that podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I said it. I said that fight might have been a fluke.
I thought he should have beat Vinicius. He didn't. I thought he was going to lose to Basharat. He didn't. Where am I leaning on this particular fight? Well, we got Charles Jourdain here, who's moving down. This is his second fight at 135. He's very good. Jourdain the better striker in my opinion here. Decent wrestling, but obviously that goes to Ricky Simón hands down. I mean, I think Ricky is going to fucking drown him in wrestling. What makes this fight interesting is that Jourdain is very good when it comes to snatching up that fucking neck, getting on submissions, scrambling. The guy's underrated. The guy is very good. If you're asking me who's the more complete fighter here, it's probably Jourdain, but Ricky Simón's a fucking dog, hard to count out. And if he shows up the same way he showed up against Basharat, this is a 50-50 fight. Conventional wisdom says you should lean into the wrestling here. I should be picking Ricky Simón here, but I'm scared, brother. I'm scared to look bad here. I don't know. I mean, Ricky could sleep Jourdain as well. I mean, police, help! Not that he's the better striker, but he's definitely got some pop in his fucking hands. I might regret this one. I'll go air. Charles Jourdain here for the win. And another fight where I'm probably prepared to eat shit because Ricky Simón gonna make me look like a dumbass one more time.
Yeah, I'm on the other side with you with this.
I respect that.
Jourdain's jiu-jitsu is underrated, but you know who else's jiu-jitsu is underrated? Ricky fucking Simón.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who was able to mounted guillotine Merab in a scramble, and Merab can grapple his ass off. If Jourdain doesn't use his gifts in this fight, and he allows this fight to be fought chest to chest, I think he's going to get worked, low key. If he can keep this in open space, he has a good chance. But for me, this is Simón all day, twice on Sunday. He's sitting at a minus 180. I think it's a little high. You know, this podcast, we don't like to lay down chalk. We really try not to. So I love Ricky Simón in this spot. And I think there's a good chance he could probably get Charles in a submission as well, too, because he is vulnerable to the submission. So give me fight ends and sub here and Ricky Simón as the obvious lean. And like I said in the last podcast, when I said the Vinicius Oliveira fight might be flukish.
Have I been wrong yet? Have I been wrong yet? No.
I have not. Not on Ricky Simón, at least. That's my dog. That's my dog. Not against Low Dog, but that's my dog. Give me Ricky Simón for the lead. Give me fight ends and sub as a possible play.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have the Maverick, Michael Chiesa, going one-on-one with the Crusher, Court McGee. Chiesa, 18-7 overall. Fighting out of Spokane Valley, Washington, 37 years old. Court McGee, 22-13 overall. Fighting out of Orem, Utah, 40 years old. I don't think I've ever heard that city in my life. Orem, Utah.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I don't think I've known anybody from Utah.
Or Orem.
Or Orem. There's probably some violence in this one. We got two older statesmen here. We got the now famous commentator, Chiesa, weight bully. Submission specialist, going one-on-one here with Court McGee, who is got solid striking, got some power in his hands, got some wrestling. Court McGee got no chin, but Chiesa ain't the type to really swing and bang. You know what I'm saying? Chiesa kind of wants this fight on the ground. As much as I don't want to admit it, I'm probably going to lean Chiesa here for the win. Probably wins by sub. I think Court McGee is a bit washed. Give me Chiesa here for the win. I'll say by sub, but I'm really not too confident in this one overall in terms of a side.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Michael Chiesa is the assured lean. I'm not too high in the guy either, but this is also another fight, like the last one, where I kind of like it to end in sub. These guys, well, Chiesa in particular, is going to force the grappling. Court can grapple. Court just finished Tim Means with a head-arm guillotine his last fight. Not head-arm guillotine, head and arm choke. He's also, you know, going to not be too intimidated by Michael's punching power. Not me, because I'm Michael. I got some real dogs in these hands. You feel me? So man, Chiesa could have knocked air out of a bag.
But you know what's funny though? I don't even want to get a little crazy, but I mean, I think Court's chin is probably so gone. If Chiesa's line for KO is fucking wide enough, why not?
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, I'm with you. Especially because the thing is, he could also mount them and just smash them.
Yeah.
Like, that can happen too. And Chiesa, listen, I'm playing with the dude, but he's a high IQ fighter, man. He watches a lot of tape. The only thing he doesn't have a high IQ for is walking into fucking guillotines and dart chokes, because he's so susceptible to it. But the thing is, Court is not a guy who presents that kind of head and arm series. But I would not be surprised if that's in his repertoire either.
Wouldn't rule it out.
Wouldn't rule it out, especially with his wrestling base, right? So I like this fight sneakily to end by sub. If Chiesa's knockout numbers high, I'm not laying the juice down on minus 330 for this guy, because that's where he's sitting at. Michael Chiesa is still overrated, but he should get this fight done. Give me Michael Chiesa for the lean here.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have custom made Cody Durden going one-on-one with Jose Ochoa. Durden, 17-7-1, fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, 34 years old. Ochoa is 7-1. Fighting out of Peru, repping Peru, 24 years old. Didn't really realize the age discrepancy until I just read that. 10-year age gap. Ochoa, a guy that I was kind of high on coming in. I know he stepped in short notice to fight Kavanaugh.
That fight was way closer than the judges gave it, low key.
Yeah, it was a close fight. Didn't really go to the wrestling as much as I thought in that one. Both gentlemen, to be honest, but Ochoa's good. Now he's here with a full training camp against a guy who, you know, Durden is solid. He's got the solid boxing. I think he's probably the better boxer of the two guys. I think Ochoa is probably the better and more dynamic striker. He uses a lot of leg kicks. He does like this, like King from Tekken. He does like this fucking low leg sweep that he does.
Yes,
he was doing
does.
it over and over in that fight. The guy's talented. I think his jiu-jitsu is a little underrated as well. The only hole Ochoa really got is like actual wrestling. That's where I kind of expect Durden to really take over the fight. That's Durden's clear path, in my opinion. If he goes straight to the wrestling here and doesn't fuck around on the feet, I think he probably wins this fight. That being said, if Ochoa's a dog, give me that dog money. I like Ochoa. I think the kid's underrated. Give me Ochoa for the win.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I think Ochoa is a very underrated mixed martial artist. I think he's the more all-around good fighter. He does have an anaconda choke here, which I do like because Durden just always seems to leave his neck in precarious places. Ochoa by sub might be a play here if it's nice and juice, low-key, because Durden's gonna push the wrestling. He's gonna try and push a pace. He's gonna try and make this dirty. But Ochoa is just underrated on the ground. I think he's got an underrated head and arm choke series. He's got an underrated guillotine game. He's the favorite. He's sitting at -170. I think rightfully so. I think if it gets super disrespectful on the Durden side, I don't hate the play because of the wrestling. To my brother's point, I think that's probably his only weak department. I just got a hunch that Ochoa is going to do the work in this fight and show people that there's levels and that he actually belongs at this level of the UFC. And once again, I think by sub is a sneaky play here. So ITD via sub, Ochoa.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have no love. Cody Garbrandt going one-on-one with Hani Barcelos. Garbrandt, 14-6 overall, fighting out of Sacramento, California, 33 years old. Barcelos is 19-5 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 38 years old. This is another interesting and probably low-key banger of a fight. Garbrandt, obviously the better boxer, probably the better grappler here, but doesn't really go to his wrestling as often as, you know, I would like Cody Garbrandt to do, but Barcelos is a fucking dog. And Barcelos, even though he's getting up there in age, guy's got fucking hands. He's a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. Probably the weakest part of his game is his wrestling, but Barcelos can wrestle. Barcelos has jiu-jitsu. Barcelos has probably more dynamic striking, but Garbrandt's got the experience. Garbrandt's probably got the power, and Garbrandt's got the savvy. So I think in reality, it's a true 50-50, probably dog or pass. I kind of want to pick Garbrandt here, but something's telling me Barcelos is going to make this one very interesting. So you know what? Fuck it. Give me Raoni Barcelos here for the win. And I don't think this fight goes the distance.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that Cody Garbrandt, he's sitting at dog money right now, which is surprising. Raoni is the favorite. And
I didn't think that, but you know what? Okay.
Yeah, I agree with the dog or pass spot here. But what I will say is we have to also be very mindful that Hani Barcelos is a coral belt. For those who don't know, he's a legit black belt. He's a fucking coral belt. He's a level above black belt. So he's been grappling since Cody Garbrandt's probably started boxing.
And Garbrandt's last loss was against Figueiredo, who did sub the man. And I think that was Garbrandt's first submission loss, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, that fight scares me. And here's why. I'm probably going to pick Raoni, even though it's dog or pass and Garbrandt's supposed to be the play from a dog or pass pick. Figgy was able to get him to the floor so easily. And ever since he's left alpha male, it seems like his wrestling has regressed a little bit. Figgy figured it out at the end of that round, and then the next round went right back to it, was able to get his back with ease. And I think Cody, even though he might have the better wrestling acumen, I think he's gonna struggle in the grappling department here. And if Raoni gets his back, he's gonna fucking choke him. For me, I'm curious to see what the Raoni sub line is here. I think this is an obvious dog or pass spot here, because I think if Cody connects on him, he's gonna fucking lamp him.
I agree with that. He's gonna have the speed advantage for sure. Raoni, as good as his striking is overall, I mean,
and he hits hard too, by the way. Like Hani, I don't think Hani gets enough credit for his power. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't have a lot of knockouts in the UFC, but I'm sure he has a lot of knockdowns because I've seen him drop a lot of dudes. So.
He has a lot of knockouts in general, but like Cody Garbrandt hits fucking hard.
For me, this is dog or pass, but the Honey Barcelos sub line here, interesting look. Especially if it's like sitting above plus 500 give me all of that. So Cody Garbrandt's the lean, but we'll see how it gets close to the fight time to let you guys know how we're going to play it. Follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have the golden boy, Edmen Shahbazyan, going one-on-one with Andre Petrowski. Shahbazyan, 14-5 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 27 years old. Petrowski is 13-3 overall, fighting out of Springfield Township, Pennsylvania, 34 years old. Interesting fight here because we have on one side Edmen Shahbazyan, the golden boy, who was at one point pronounced as the golden boy. And, he's had an up and down UFC record. To his credit, the guy is kill or be killed. He's either going to finish you or you're going to finish him. Pause. On the other end, we got a very solid wrestler in Andre Petrowski. A guy who's, built like a brick shithouse.
A guy who knocks himself out off of someone else's hip.
But a guy who might be lacking in the IQ department. we'll keep it there. This fight shouldn't go the distance. This fight should end relatively quickly. I think if you like the Shahbazyan side, it's early, but Shahbazyan has struggled against wrestlers. But do I trust the man's IQ? Do I trust the man to take down Shahbazyan and do what he needs to do? Or do I suspect that Petrowski might get into a striking battle with a guy who can knock him the fuck out? I don't know. A bit high variance because I don't trust either man. I do trust the unders. It's Shahbazyan early. It's Petrowski late. Conventional wisdom says lean the wrestler. And regrettably, I'm probably going to be leaning Petrowski here in another fight where I'm probably well prepared to eat some shit. Give me Petrowski here for the win. ITD.
Yeah, I'm a little higher on the Edmen Shahbazyan side here, and I'm going to tell you why. And the reason why is because I seen a man in Shahbazyan who was able to withstand the pressure from Fluffy Hernandez for about a round and a half. Thing is, with Fluffy, he's going to be there for all 3 rounds. Petrowski, not so much. He's a guy that kind of likes to thump first and then work in his wrestling. Joe Morshart was left for dead at the end of the first round. Shahbazyan gassed himself out, and then Joe took his neck later in the fight. I don't think Shahbazyan is going to struggle getting Petrowski out of there once he has him dead to rights. And Petrowski, not the best survival instincts. Usually when he's in trouble, man, it fucking goes south for him. He doesn't reach for a leg. He's not a guy that's gonna, run for cover. He doesn't have the highest fight IQ.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, listen, when I said I'm picking Petrowski, very low confidence on that.
Yeah, this is a guy who his most notable win as of late was Dylan Buckiss. And I'm going to say Buckiss because I'm not going to say Bucka because he's anything but good. And Petrowski just laid on Bucka for 3 rounds, if I'm correct, right? So you lay on Dylan Buckiss for 3 rounds rather, to get a unanimous decision when there was clear paths to you finishing the fight. I know you're training with the Philly guys, but
you're making me regret my pick here. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just, yeah.
You might be turning to me, my brother.
No, it is a flip a coin fight in a lot of ways, but I just feel like Shahbazyan is just much more polished than this guy. Pause. So give me Shahbazyan for the win here by knockout.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have Atomic Alonzo Menafield going one-on-one with Omar Sy. Menafield, 16-5-1, fighting out of Texas. It just says Texas. 37 years old. Omar Sy, perfect. 11-0, fighting out of France. Repping France. 29 years old.
Where them Texas boys at?
Where them Texas boys at? Well, we got a Texas boy here in Alonzo Menafield, a guy who, when you count him out, particularly in his last fight, I did count him out. He comes out of nowhere, gets a nice little split decision win. Atomic, in the nickname, got power in the hands. An okay fighter. I feel like a guy who hasn't really lived up to the potential, lived up to the hype. Going one-on-one here with Omar Sy, hot prospect. A guy who definitely has the grappling edge here. If Omar Sy leans into the grappling here, this is Omar Sy all day. He probably finishes him via ground and pound. If he decides to stand up with Atomic Alonzo Menafield here, though, I'd lean Menafield here to put hands on him if it stays standing, but Omar Sy, younger, more physically gifted. I just see ground and pound finish. So give me Omar Sy here for the win via ground and pound. I'll say round 2.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is going to be quick. I think it's going to be ITD for Sai, whenever he wants to, probably a sub as well, is live here. He's going to have a clear grappling edge. Alonzo Menefield's a humongous human being, but Omar Sai is a bigger human being, which is crazy. 83-inch reach. He's going to be able to tie up his hands from different angles to get Alonzo to the floor. He fought Dawoon Jung his last fight. That was an interesting fight rather, because Dawoon Jung puts his punches together well. Alonzo, not so much. And Dawoon Jung does have some decent power too. So you're telling me that you're going to give me Sai against a guy who is just as powerful with less technique and probably less grappling and physicality to get to the floor and do what he does? This is Sai's fight to lose. The only way he loses his fight is if Alonzo throws an overhand and just catches him and kills him. If Sai loses his fight, it's a devastation to his career, low-key. So I just feel like this is a bad matchup for Alonzo. Very bad matchup. And yeah, he probably could mitigate some of the wrestling from Sai with his own, but Sai has a very good way of getting into his entries, getting the cage pushes. He's also shown that he has a relatively okay gas tank heading deep into fights. So this is Sai's fight to lose. Give me Sai by ITD. I would say second round as well.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the co-main event of the evening, we have at women's flyweight, Thug Rose Namajunas going one-on-one with Fear, the Maverick, Miranda Maverick.
Great name.
It's bars.
Both names.
Bars. Namajunas, 13-7 overall, fighting out of Colorado, 32 years old. Maverick, 15-5 overall, fighting out of Colorado as well, 27 years old. Huge step up in competition, in my opinion, from Miranda Maverick. The question is she ready for it? I'm going to say no. Credit to Miranda. You know, she has been improving. She has been growing. She has been stepping up. The striking has gotten better. She's a grappler. She's a very good grappler. The entry's a little questionable, but when she's on the ground, she can beat you up. She'll work for the sub. My issue here is I think the experience gap is a little too much. I think Rose on the feet is probably going to fuck her up. It's going to be a difficult task to take Rose down, in my opinion, only because she's just so good with her spacing and, you know, really controlling the octagon. Credit to Maverick. She'll, you know, if she makes me eat shit here, sure. Congratulations. I kind of want her to get better, you know, but I think this is Rose's fight to lose. I think Rose gives this girl a masterclass of the octagon. I think decision either way. I don't think nobody's going to sub anybody. I don't think anybody's going to knock anybody out. But give me Thug Rose here for the win via decision in a fight that possibly might look a little one-sided.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think this line is a little crazy. She's sitting at minus 275. She could easily look like a minus 400 by the end of this fight. And I'm leaning more there. I think she's got it covered everywhere. She can grapple with Maverick. I think she's a better boxer than Maverick. I think her footwork is better than Maverick. She's more fluid on the feet than Maverick. Her wrestling is probably the only question, but the thing is, I'm not too worried about her because she can create great scrambles. Yeah, she lost to Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield's also a top 5 125er, and you know, she's very physical. Miranda Maverick, she has built her body recently if you look at her strength and conditioning program, but I am curious to see where her fight acumen is at this point in her career. If she makes me eat shit here as well, to my brother's point, I'm there as well, but I'm willing to eat shit on this one. I think Rose is going to give her all that she can handle, plus some, and I think Rose gets it done via decision.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the main event of the evening at men's welterweight. We have the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman going one-on-one with New Mansa Joaquin Buckley. We got Usman, 20-4 overall, fighting out of Boca Raton, Florida, but repping Nigeria, 38 years old. Joaquin Buckley, 21-6 overall, fighting out of the aforementioned St. Louis, Missouri, 31 years old. Excellent fight, banger of a fight. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this one because it's a gradual step up for Buckley. I think it's Buckley's toughest matchup to date, but I think it's a winnable fight for Buckley. Both men, very athletic, very powerful in their own rights. Buckley has all the talent in the world. Buckley, probably the more athletic of the two gentlemen here. But where I worry for Buckley here is that Usman is a very good wrestler. And I think if Buckley decides to engage in any kind of wrestling grappling here, it can get a little sweaty. It can get a little sweaty because Usman, even though he's 38 years old, even though he might have 2 busted knees, and even though it's quite a layoff, I think he's kind of live here.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think Kamaru Usman sitting at a +2 to 1 is insane. If you're asking me, and you guys know, you can go back to the older episodes, I have not been very high on Kamaru's career. I don't think he's as good as some people pump him up to be. I think he's just a little bit of a brute. He is going to be matched physically here, probably more than he can handle, because Joaquin does have the better fast twitch muscle fibers here. He's just much faster, much younger than him. But Kamaru, championship pedigree, works behind the jab, gonna have Trevor Whitman in his corner in a situation where he's gonna have the wrestling edge. And I've seen Joaquin give up wrestling positions to an old ass Colby Covington. So for me, this is a little scary. I'm gonna lean Joaquin because I'm just rooting for the guy, to be frank with you. I don't like Kamaru, and I think Joaquin is widely uncelebrated. I think it's about time he gets his flowers, but I just think at this line, it's a little crazy. If you gave me Joaquin at -150, I might throw 3 units on him. But if you're asking me, like, from a better standpoint, how I'm looking at this fight, it's Kamaru at +200. The only thing that worries me about Kamaru is the inactivity. The last couple of fights, he kind of got one-sided ass whoopings. Anyone ever in this division who's been able to match Kamaru physically has given him a run for his money. Colby Covington, true welterweight. Leon Edwards, true welterweight. Those fights were competitive. And he hasn't really looked the same since he's gotten knocked out, low-key. Like, lost the fight pretty decisively, in my opinion, to Khamzat. Even though if it was a 5-round fight, he would have won. But listen, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle.
Boys.
Right? So, I just feel like there's a lot of nuances to this fight. This fight is a little more interesting. When I first heard it announced, I was all over Joaquin. Now I get closer, you do the fight analysis, you watch footage, you really think it through, and you're like, damn, Kamaru might be a little alive. The problem is, though, once again, he hasn't been active. And I think that's the biggest alarm with this fight for him. I could see this fight ending in injury, low-key. Joaquin Buckley curb stomp to the knee. He goes down, raises his hand, and they're going to say it's another flukish win for Joaquin.
Hopefully not. But
Hopefully not. I hope he just melts him, low-key. And I think that's where the edge is for Joaquin. I think Joaquin's wrestling is interesting here because I think he can take Kamaru down too, low-key. If he really goes at it, I think he could take him down.
I wouldn't recommend it, but, if I'm Buckley, just keep it on the feet. Stuff to takedowns.
Correct. And I'm also curious as to see what Kamaru's cardio might be if someone's wrestling into him, low-key, because no one's done it except for Khamzat, and you've seen how Kamaru was a little winded towards the end of that fight. I know it's Khamzat, but he only really wrestled him for 1 round and then fell on him in the second, right? So he fell on him, and Kamaru couldn't really stuff it. So for me, Joaquin Buckley, the better athlete, younger, he's the lean here, but don't be surprised at a possible dog play on Kamaru Usman here, or if we find some clever way to bet Joaquin Buckley to get this boy and get him the fuck out of here. Give me Joaquin Buckley for the lean. Give me Kamaru Usman as a possible dog play.
And that does it for our coverage of UFC Atlanta. Moving right along into the PFL World Tournament semifinals happening in Nashville, Tennessee. For podcast sake, we're going to be covering at least the prelim main event as well as the main card. If you want any of our other breakdowns, feel free to hit us up on the side and we'll provide those, on demand. Kicking it off with the prelim main event, we have Jeremy Kennedy, JBC, going one-on-one with Adam Borchich, the kid. Kennedy, 19-6 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Canada, 32 years old. Borchich is 19-3 overall, fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but repping Hungary, 31 years old. This is technically a run back from a fight a couple years ago. Tapology doesn't really have it listed as a 2, but this is a sequel. Borch was the victor in their first fight, in a fight that was very grappling heavy and kind of low volume, surprisingly. Does this fight turn out the same way the second time around? I'd say I'm going to be leaning, yeah. I do expect this to be another grappling heavy affair. I think Kennedy's only way to win here is to really push the grappling even more than he did last fight. I'm still going to lean Borch here. I think Borch has decent takedown defense. I think he's the better striker. I don't know how this fight looks a little different, but give me Borch here for the win. Probably by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you on the decision play here because Jeremy Kennedy has only been finished by Alexander Volkanovski and Patricio Pitbull in 2 of his 3 losses via finish. His last fight, he really impressed me. He looks like he kind of leveled up in a lot of his wrestling. That's how this fight can look different if you trust Kennedy to push the grappling, which I think he's very capable of doing. The thing is, I'm looking at this line. He's sitting at a plus 185. That line's not so sexy to me that I have to play it. If he gets up to like plus 200, plus 250 come fight night, I think he's at least worth half a unit, because Boric, not really the best on the floor. He is a striking specialist, but if you're asking me gun to the head right now, this is Boric's fight to lose. It should look similar to the last fight, because Boric should be able to just manage the range and pick him apart and land at will. He is a little older. I know Jeremy Kenny is older than him, but Boric has aged faster than him in a weird and odd way, in my opinion. So this fight stinks a little bit. I just want to see if the line gets disrespectful, but if it's not disrespectful, it's Adam Boric by decision all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have Movlid Kobuliev, killer, going one-on-one with Tae-Kyung Kim. Movlid, technically perfect. 22-0-1. Fighting out of Moscow, Russia, 34 years old. Kim, 11-1 overall. Fighting out of South Korea, repping South Korea, 31 years old. This one's a bit interesting, only because I think it's going to be very grappling intensive. I think Movlid's got the power edge on the feet. He's probably the better striker here. And if he keeps this fight on the feet, probably going to win maybe by decision. He's not the ultimate finisher, but he does enough to really grind out wins here. Why I say this fight is interesting is because Kim is actually pretty decent on the ground himself. I'm expecting a lot of scrambles. I'm expecting a lot of back and forth on the ground. This is probably dog or pass, only because I think Movlid is decent, but I don't think he's that good. I don't know. There's something about him. He's a little chinny, and he's a little, I don't have the right word. He's
not impressive. Like, I'm with you that he's 22-0. His last fight against Kennedy was like lackluster. Could argue he lost that fight, to be frank with you. If you really watch it, you could definitely argue he lost the fight. Kennedy kind of gave it away to him a little bit. I did give him the win, but I could see someone arguing for Kennedy there, man. And Tae-Kyung Kim he presents a lot of problems on the floor. He does create scrambles. I think he might be the cleaner puncher here, low key. I agree with you with the power edge from Movlid, but this is a guy who is going to make him work in Kim. I don't think after Movlid's last performance that he should be sitting at minus 400. I think that's an insane line. Like minus 400 after almost getting melted by Kennedy in the first round. And then struggling throughout the fight too to kind of get him to the floor and maintain control. And then when you maintain control, you didn't really land damage as much as you probably should have. For me, this is dog or pass as well. Anyone parlaying Movlid is a psychopath.
I agree.
And yeah, this is dog or pass all day. So give me Movlid for the lean, but Kim possibly as the dog play.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Storm Logan Storley going one-on-one with Masayuki Kirakui. Storley, 17-3 overall, fighting out of Webster, South Dakota, 32 years old. Masayuki, 11-2-1 overall, fighting out of Japan, hailing from Japan, 29 years old. Yeah, no offense to Masayuki here. I think he's a decent striker, very patient, maybe a little too patient. Decent takedown defense against the cage, but I don't think that's going to be enough here for Logan Storley. I think Logan Storley here is going to run him over. He's the better wrestler, probably the most experienced wrestler Masayuki's faced. I think Storley's going to be able to take him down, beat him up. Give me Storley here to finish Masayuki second, third round. I think this is going to be a one-sided ass whooping. Storley for the win.
Yeah, this is the mismatch of the card, in my opinion. Masayuki, not a big volume guy. Not going to win the minutes in this fight. Got grappled by Giannis for certain portions of that fight. Giannis, who is predominantly based as a Muay Thai striker.
Yeah, you can't be getting wrestled by a guy from Greece.
It's bad. It's a bad look.
It's not a good look.
And I'm not saying he didn't win the fight. He did wind up like just working him and, hurting him and then getting the fight stopped in the corner in the second round. But in my opinion, this is a different level. This is a big step up in competition for him. Logan Storley is a fucking dog. He can wrestle his ass off. He can create scrambles, knows how to work on the inside ankle pick, knows how to work from the body lock, knows how to ride, knows how to lock down, knows how to pass. I agree with you. I think he's going to probably fight the finish in this fight. But if this fight goes to decision, it depends on what the line is. That's how we're going to play this, because Logan Storley historically is a decision fighter. Like, does not finish his food when he goes to the gym in the morning. For me, this is Logan Storley's fight to lose. How he's going to win, we'll see more or less when we get close to the fight time. We'll let you know. Follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, and as currently constituted the co-main event for this particular card, we have Jesus Pinedo going one-on-one with Gabriel Braga. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a trilogy fight. Pinedo, 24-6-1, fighting out of Peru, repping Peru, 28 years old. Braga, 16-2 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 27 years old. Like I mentioned before, I'll mention again, trilogy fight. First fight went to Braga. Second fight went to Pinedo. You can argue, in my opinion, Pinedo probably won both fights. I like Pinedo here. I'm going to be picking Pinedo. I think he's the better striker. I think he's the better overall fighter. He's got the dimensions. Braga, very good fighter in his own right. Fan of Braga. The only thing he can really do differently here, in my opinion, is probably just lean more heavily into the wrestling.
Agreed.
Take away Pinedo's weapons. Give me Pinedo here, probably by knockout. I'll say ITD. This fight shouldn't go the distance, but it should be a banger.
Agreed. I'm with you here on this. And it's a situation where I feel like Pinedo, we got to start putting some fucking respect on this guy's name. He has melted a lot of guys that he probably shouldn't have melted in front of him. His striking is vicious. This dude carries that traditional kickboxing style from Peru where he's just fucking thrown with malintent. Braga, the only way I think he can change up this fight is if he pushes the grappling a little more, but his gas tank is not the best. And I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a cold opening for him low-key in this fight. I think Pinedo is going to be able to land on him. Braga, I think, is going to have his moments too. I'm not saying that he can't win this fight. I just think that I've seen enough from Jesus Pinedo to not doubt him anymore. So for me, this is Jesus Pinedo by knockout. I'll say second round.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight and as currently constituted the main event for the PFL evening, we have the ass-kicking machine Jason Jackson going one-on-one with the silverback Thad Jing. Jackson 19-5 overall. Fighting out of Miami, but repping Jamaica, 34 years old. Jean, perfect. 9-0, fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 26 years old. Interesting fight for a multitude of reasons. Fan of both gentlemen here. Fan of Jean. He's got the striking edge here. The younger guy, the more athletic guy, he's going to have the speed advantage as well. If this fight stays standing, I think it's only a matter of time before Jackson gets his whole shit cleaned out, I think. Yeah, he might get dog walk on the feet. Let's keep it a buck. But that being said, Jason Jackson is a very good fighter in his own right. Does have the grappling advantage. Does have a clear path to victory. If he puts on the singlet, takes Jean down, or Jean, I'm just going to call him Thad because I keep fucking his name up. Clear path to victory, should win this fight. Spicy fight. I'm always a little hot and cold on Jackson only because I feel like he should go to his grappling more than he does. But, you know, my brother has a good counterpoint he'll get to later. That being said, I'm going to be picking Jackson, but this fight shouldn't go the distance.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and I'm a fan of this fight, and I'm even more of a fan of Thad's last name because jeans you put on and John, you do right before you go to sleep.
Jean.
You will not be yawning during this fight. This is going to be a great fight. I love everything about this fight. Jackson's the lean just because of the clear grappling edge and as well as the experience edge. It might go to decision because I think Jean is young and athletic enough to deal with him on the floor. This is not like a shot-worn Korshkov like his last fight. But to me, this is a situation where I know people are worried about Jackson not pushing the wrestling as much as he should. But the problem is before Korshkov, he fought like 3 wrestlers in a row. So he's not necessarily looking in the game plan to wrestle those guys unless he can and had to, which I thought he should have done in the last fight that he lost. He could have won that fight a little more easily if he wrestled into that guy because I thought that guy was a fraud, and when he wrestled into him, stole the last 2 rounds and it was clear pickings, and I know he regrets that fight, kicking himself in the ass. He's the ass kicking machine, kicking his own ass in that situation.
Bars.
So for me, this is a fight where Thad is going to have the clear advantage on the feet. He is super athletic. He's not dumb in my eyes. But this is a guy in Jason Jackson who, once again, like Joaquin Buckley, I think is being super undervalued by the MMA community. I'm going to lean Jason Jackson here just because I know he's probably going to push the wrestling edge, especially once he gets a little bit of a taste of what Thad Jean has to offer on the feet.
Hey, yo.
I just worry about Thad Jean's athleticism in terms of allowing Jason to get to his hips and his sprawl ability, as well as his youth and the massive improvements that he can make in between camps. So this is Jason Jackson, but I'm not sure I'm going to bet it low key. We'll see how we get close to the fight time, but this is Jason Jackson's the lean. Jason Jackson is the pick.
And that does it, ladies and gentlemen, for the PFL and overall MMA coverage. We're going to moving right along into the boxing realm, right into Argentina, where we're going to be covering a legend here. Nonito Donaire, the Filipino Flash, going one-on-one with Andres Campos. Donaire, 42-8 overall. Fighting out of California, but repping the Philippines, 42 years old. Campos, 16-2-1 overall. Fighting out of Chile, repping Chile, 28 years old.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight for a lot of reasons. Andres Campos is a young, hungry prospect, age 28. His last loss was to Sonny Edwards. No shame in that. Sonny is a master boxer. But this is a kid who presses forward, throws a lot of volume, does what he has to do. I worry a little bit for Nonito in this fight, particularly because he is 42 years of age. But I will say that this is a fight that he probably should win, but I'm looking to see the line and see where it's at, because in his last fight against Alexandre Santiago, he looked almost gun shy a bit. And if you don't recall, before that fight, he got knocked out by Inoue. So I'm questioning his morality and his mortality post Inoue fight, and to see more or less where he's at. The thing is, I know this kid is only lost to Sonny Edwards, but he's a one-dimensional fighter, low-key. I don't think he's going to be able to win in a gunfight against Nonito in this fight. I think Nonito has better punching power still at 42, and power is the last thing to leave you. But if this line is uber disrespectful, like you have Campos sitting at like a plus 1,000, plus 1,500, man, I don't think that's a bad play. And it's because Nonito's 42 years old. We're fighting in Campos' side of the world. He's from Chile. This fight's in Argentina. I mean, shit, anything can happen in boxing. And this is a 42-year-old guy who I thought was going to beat Santiago his last fight, who is a kind of a seasoned journeyman, and he didn't. He got worked for the most part in that fight. So for me, this is dog or pass, but if it's a good line on Nonito, I don't mind playing him for the win. Won't touch the knockout or decision because he is 42 years old and I don't know which version of Nonito is going to show up. We'll love to see Wayne to see if he's on any pharmaceuticals, anything that's going to get him extra boosted for this fight. I'm curious, you know, but that's the only way I'm going to play him, by knockout or et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see how we play it close to the fight time. Follow us on all social media platforms.
Moving right along from Argentina to Mexico, from one legend to another, we have Juan Francisco Estrada, a.k.a. El Gallo, going one-on-one with Karim Arce. Estrada, El Gallo, 44-4 overall. Fighting out of Mexico, rep in Mexico, 35 years old. Arce, 21-2-2. Also fighting out of Mexico, also rep in Mexico, 27 years old.
Yeah, this is a fight as well, too. Young dog versus the old guard. This one I feel a little more confident on the Estrada side. Anyone who's nicknamed El Gallo is a bad motherfucker. Let's just get that out the way.
El Gallo.
Bad, I think except Jake Paul, because Jake Paul self-proclaimed himself El Gallo, if I'm correct, right?
Oh, no, he straight up, he swaggered Jack in Puerto Rico on that one for sure.
Yeah, like, fuck you, right? So, I love what you did with Amanda Serrano. Amanda, we love you, but Jake Paul, fuck you. Straight up.
Return the nickname.
Oh, my goodness.
You bastard, man.
But what I will say is this is a guy in Arce, has 2 losses. Both those losses have been stoppages. He can be tested. Estrada is still fucking Estrada. He only lost to Bam Rodriguez, who is a bad motherfucker and probably the next guy up sooner or later in a future fight to fight Inoue. For me, this is Estrada's fight to lose. I trust his ability to fight off his back foot a little better. Arce kind of fights one way, throws a lot of volume, walks forward, kind of plays a lot into Estrada's game plan, even though he is a little older. This is the most activity he's had in about 3 years, where he's had 1 year in between fights, took the year off after getting stopped by Bam with the body shot. For me, this is Estrada's fight to lose. Give me Estrada. I'll say via knockout here, because I think he's still a bad motherfucker and the power's the last thing to go, and I think Arce does walk in the shot. So give me Estrada here by knockout. I'll let you know if the condition of the fight and how it's going to end changes close to the fight time on my social media platform. But for now, I'm going to lean the knockout.
And moving right along from Mexico to MSG New York City, a matchroom boxing card with a couple of fights, the main and co-main. We're going to be covering the co-main first, with Andy Cruz going one-on-one with Hironori Mishiro. Cruz, perfect. 5-0, fighting out of Miami, Florida, but repping Cuba. 29 years old. Mishiro, 17-1-1. Fighting out of Japan, repping Japan, 30 years old.
Yeah, this is a tough fight for Mishiro. Watching the footage, slow hands, not a ton of volume, likes to kind of box on the outside. He's going against a master boxer, a guy that beat Keyshawn Davis in the amateurs, and Andy Cruz, a guy who is calling for Keyshawn Davis, and ironically, he fought last weekend. This is Andy's fight to lose. Andy can keep him on the outside. I think he can beat him up on the inside, and low-key, I think this fight possibly can get stopped in the second half of this fight, because one thing about Cruz, he does stand in the pocket. He's not one of the traditional Cuban boxers that's fighting on the outside and kind of avoiding the fight like a William Skull.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that will sit in the pocket, deliver good counter punches, and has decent sharp punching. Not power punching, just sharp punches. And he hurt his last opponent in Salido, who's a decent opponent. I expect that he can do the same here to Mishiro. So that knockout prop in particular, in the second half of the fight, or just in general, is a nice juicy number. I think I will be laying a little juice on it, but I'm gonna stick with the knockout. Fuck it, let's go. I'm not gonna go decision. We got it. Andy Cruz, I think, gets this guy out of here. I think he's gonna outclass him. I think he's gonna stop him with volume punching. Ref jumps in, or his corner comes in to save him. Andy Cruz by knockout here.
And last but not least, we have the main event of the evening. We have For the IBF World Super Lightweight title, Richardson Hitchins going one-on-one with George Ferocious Kambosos Jr.
Kamboso, Jesus.
Kamboso. Hitchins, perfect. 19-0. Fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, 27 years old. Kambosos, 22-3 overall. The challenger, fighting out of Australia, repping Australia, 32 years old.
Yeah, this is going to be an ass whooping. I think Hitchins is going to audit Kambosos, to be honest with you. Kambosos has been in a lot of wars, taking a lot of damage. I give him a ton of credit. Like, he fights the best of the best. He has lined himself up for big payday after big payday, and I give him a ton of credit. The problem is he's going against a guy who has the physical dimensions on him, a guy who showed me a lot in the Leon Paro fight, his last fight. I thought he was a little fraudish into that fight, and he showed me that he can be a dominant boxer and knows how to work behind the jab and do what he's got to do. Kambosos can make this fight interesting if he makes it dirty. I just don't see it happening. I think there's already been a blueprint laid out by Devin Haney on how to beat this fucking guy. And Kambosos, man, I think this is your last big payday. I think Richardson Hitchins is going to get you via decision. I don't think he's going to get you out of there because he's not like a prolific puncher. I'm not saying he can't knock you down. I don't think it's impossible, which I will be looking at. There's a nice line for it. But realistically, I think Kambosos is tough. This is not Lomachenko where he's going to overwhelm you with volume. I think Hitchins gets this done via decision.
And that does it for this episode's combat coverage 103 in the books. My brother, please, without any further ado, take us home.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Love you guys. Episode 103 in the books. Holla at you guys next week. Enjoy the fights. For all the PFL fights that we didn't cover and all the boxing fights that we probably didn't cover, we covered predominantly the most important ones.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Drop a like and a comment, obviously, in the comment section. Subscribe as well, too. Show the love. We see the growth. We see the love. Keep it coming. See you guys next week for episode 104. Holla at you. Take it easy. Peace.